Welcome back, dreamers and flam family. This is Two Peas in a Pod, brought to you by GeneralAndrews and
Flibbityflam.
we are sponsored by the 8-Bit Dojo and ESN, where we aim to be selfless, not selfish. This is episode 14 of season 2. Content creation is Manifest Destiny. All right, Flibbityflam. Let me tell you, bud. You're a good guy, man.
No, you're a good guy, Jen.
Thank you. So you know what? Let's first have a small history lesson before we even dive in to what is Manifest Destiny in content creation.
Oh, man.
So for those of you out there that do not know what it means, because this has been butchered over and over again on what actually Manifest Destiny is, but it was a phrase, that was coined in 1845, and it's the idea that the United States is destined by God, its advocates believed, to expand its dominion and spread democracy and capitalism across the entire North American continent. So it even extended so far as to wanting to annex Canada and Mexico. And, this is what drove expansion, overall annexation, active movement towards the West. All right. So when I say content creation is Manifest Destiny, it's more so people have this ideology of, you can manifest your own destiny, right? It's kind of what it's evolved into. Have you ever felt like that?
Yes, yeah. Kind of like creating your own luck, as essentially.
Thank you. Good. So you know exactly what angle that I'm coming from in regards to this. So when it comes to content creation, in a way, you are creating your own luck with what you're doing.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I feel.
Right? So have you ever been stuck while doing content creation of any kind?
No, never. No, yes, absolutely. All the time.
Okay, so never and all the time. That's actually an accurate description of the entirety of being an entertainer,
Right? Sometimes you feel like you're doing things right, and other times it's like, I have no idea what I'm doing here.
And I can't believe how there's times where, you can phone it in, and that everyone loved everyone.
Yeah.
Hundreds of people you never even knew that knew about you love it. You pour your heart and soul into something, and even your regulars are like,
yeah.
But I was so excited, man. I thought this was the next thing.
I thought this was it.
But that's where I really, I know of those roller coaster ups and downs. And so it's like, yeah, there's a lot of that, you know what I mean? Where it's this nothing. It's, and how do you work with that? How do you work with that?
Man, that is a good question. How do you work with something like that? Because we already work in such a volatile environment already. I feel like I've talked about this a lot in the last couple of days as well. Not only with you, but like my community and stuff like that. Because Twitch is a very volatile environment. So like a lot of the times you feel like even if you plan something super well, you've been planning it for weeks, and like you think it's gonna hit super hard, and then it doesn't. And then, like, you have a one-off stream that you had no plans for whatsoever with a game you've never even heard of, and then that's way bigger than the things you planned for.
And then let's add to that, you're thinking that's it. So then you keep playing that game, but that wasn't necessarily the answer.
Exactly. Doesn't do well the next day. And you're like, oh, well, what happened? You guys liked it yesterday, but what about
you told
today?
me to come back on at the same time, and here I am, and I'm confused.
Very confused.
A little bit on that confused side of things. And it's so hard to get across the fact that you're going to have to be able to deal with the yo-yoing.
Yeah. God, the yo-yoing, it's
strong.
It's very strong. Like every sort of small business, like brick and mortar, are going to have that sort of yo-yo from month to month. Absolutely.
And you can speak from experience.
Yes. Yeah. Because of us owning our own little shop and
Yeah,
things
at
like
numerous
that.
locations, right?
Yes. No, we just have the one currently,
Okay, but still running it.
but still running it. Yeah, it's been in
Got
that
it.
we've had that spot and where we've been for
Mhm.
over 30 years or something like that.
That's awesome. That's
It's
so cool.
great. Yeah. But like there are huge yo-yos when it comes to that. Like as always, like since it's a gift shop, right? Like
Right.
Christmas is fantastic.
Okay,
Like
makes sense.
like
Strong. It's got to be like that all the time. Oh,
yeah,
that's wrong. That's
I wish. But like I would say like October, November, December are usually really, really good months for us.
hmm
But then like January, February, March are probably our worst as well.
Okay, yes, that makes sense. Because who wants the trinkets, the knickknacks, the little cutesy things when everyone's recovering from the holiday hangover, not
Yeah,
just from
exactly.
alcohol and food,
No,
but the
they're
money spent.
yeah, their wallets are just as hungover as they are.
Right, and that's from a brick and mortar.
Yeah, that's
So
a brick and mortar store too.
what's nice about those types of situations, okay, obviously we know there's the overhead of having the location, but is the physical location that people are going to walk by, and therefore the possibility for interacting once they get there is probably in your favor compared to
Hmm.
on the internet,
Yeah,
where they could go ahead and click on, like, let's say you went to use the restroom. So they got bored for like that second and they go ahead and click on something else. They might have just disappeared.
yep. They're just gone to the winds of the internet now. I think about that a lot whenever I take a break or I go to the bathroom too. It's like how many people have just been like, or like have just showed up my stream for the very first time, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
and now there's a chair,
Oh,
and
that is the
that's
nicest
it.
chair. It's the
Yeah,
nicest chair.
it's the nicest chair that you could look at, and like my community loves it and whatnot. But somebody who's new could be like, "Well, nothing's happening here. I'll see you later."
Yes, correct. I've been there before.
Yeah,
Are you kidding me? There is not a 100% follow through on me waiting for the streamer to come back once one of that has happened. Doesn't mean I'm always bouncing, but I'm not always staying, which means yeah, that does happen. I totally agree.
yeah.
But
Oh,
now, manifesting your own destiny here, if we're gonna play with this a little bit.
yes, yeah. Let's get into this.
Right? Like how do we work with that? That's gonna I mean, what, you're not gonna take a pee break? You're not gonna eat? What, you're only gonna do exactly a 2 hour and 45-minute stream?
Yeah, we're all human. We got to take breaks every now and then. Like
Well, and that's the hard part, right? This isn't pre-recorded content. This is not
mm-hmm.
a live show that is going to probably cap out around 3 hours, and also where you're changing costumes off stage. You're not 100% in front of the lights and the cameras the whole entire time.
Yeah,
Versus as a streamer, you are.
you are. Yes.
It's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
And
That's the difference between us and like just a show, unless it's like a live show like SNL or something like that,
mhm.
which they do just straight one shot it. But like there's no there's no editing, there's none of the bells and whistles that other shows would get necessarily.
Correct. I mean, think about it. There's so often where things are only that good
Yeah.
because of the editing.
Mm-hmm.
Because realistically, it's an emotion or a moment in time that's been captured and then put into a narrative that makes it that much more entertaining.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how often I've watched those videos of those perfectly cut screams,
Oh, holy
and some of
crap!
them are so good.
They're so good.
The
They
full
are.
video isn't, I'm sure,
No,
and that's
yeah,
why it's perfectly cut screams, because now it just gives it such a different meaning and an emphasis, and they're so funny because of that.
yeah. That is a great example of editing, right there.
And so if we take that into consideration, so we're going to have to take these breaks. Okay, so forget the human side and the human element. I know a lot of you out there are
Mm.
surprised we're moving past that. Is that what do we do though when our content isn't succeeding? How do we just give up?
Do we just? Yes. Wait. No. No. You
Oh,
shouldn't.
okay, no,
No. Hold
no.
up.
All right, all right, all right.
We shouldn't give up.
Okay, so then how do we go about this? I mean, you are an analyst for, the 8-bit
The
dojo, and so
dojo.
people
Yeah.
come to you for this type of, breakdown of sorts,
Yeah.
right? And so how do we tell somebody, or how do you tell somebody what they're going to do when they've been struggling on a game, the way they do their streaming, if they're a variety streamer, are they getting into a niche, things along those lines?
Yeah.
Where do you direct them when they're kind of kicking that idea around of wanting to kick the bucket, but it almost feels like they want more sympathy than do they really want to kick the idea to the
Yeah.
curb,
It's like,
and the sympathy doesn't help them grow either, right?
no, it doesn't. Like, you can feel sorry for yourself all day long, but that's not going to make your content any better,
Okay, right,
or
right.
give you that leg up that you want. One of the biggest things that I look for at first, when, because I'll ask a few questions to people. It's like, well,
Mhm.
like, what do you want to do? Like, what kind of content you want to do? And stuff like that. And then they'll give me that. And then I'll go in and I'll look in those categories of like the particular games they want to stream
Mhm, mhm.
and stuff like that, and see what are people doing that are successful, but also what are people doing that aren't successful.
Ooh, that's a real good point. Okay, understanding both sides of the coin. Okay.
Yes. And then taking those two and trying to find something that's unique to them that they can get behind.
So again,
And
it's still a niche, right? Like
yes,
even
yeah.
though you're taking this data that has to do with a ton of other streamers, let's say, and you're trying to make your own stamp on that, you're going to have to find that little niche if you want to find success. Is that what I'm
Yes,
understanding here? Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
It's what we call in the small business field finding a pain in the market.
Okay. Okay. Can you elaborate some more on that in case there's anybody out there that doesn't understand what you're
Yes.
talking about?
So if you want to be successful fast, quote unquote fast,
Mhm.
is you have to find in like a market for what is really needed, what the demand is really high for. And if there's a super high demand for it, you can make a small business to fit that pain essentially. And what I've used an example, because like for me, like because I have the most information since it's with me, is that when I wanted to start growing a lot more and being more successful at Twitch, I looked for that quote unquote pain in the market by
Mm.
flipping my schedule about 12 hours back.
Okay, so you changed your schedule because there was a need to change your schedule.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, okay,
So that's why I went from being normally an afternoon streamer from like 12 to about 8 p.m.,
okay,
noon to about 8 p.m., and then I went to about 2 or 3 a.m. till about 8 or 10 a.m.
okay. Nice. So
Because
you even
then
end up streaming a little bit less hours
a
total,
little bit
but as
less, yeah, but
as
it
a
was
much more
more
successful.
successful, yeah.
Okay. So now, with that being said, have you kept the same type of content in that same window pane? Like, are you someone that once you found what worked for you, you just continue to just use that and only that? Like, you used to be an Ocarina of Time speedrunner.
Man, I used to be, yeah, and I know every time I look at my particular statistics, it's there just staring
Mhm.
at me like, hey,
Got it.
you know you did really well with this, right?
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
And I'm like, yes, I do, but I don't enjoy that anymore. So,
Ah, that's something to consider. So something that you're successful with isn't necessarily bringing you joy. So
yeah,
how do you manage that? Because I mean, success that should bring joy, should it not?
absolutely, yes. But like, then you've also got to like what you're playing too.
Okay,
And
okay.
I know a lot of people just aren't smart about it. Well, like once they find their game or whatever that gives them huge success, yet only people will ever watch them play that game in particular, is that people won't figure out ways to, because you can wean people off of that game into other things. Because like
Now that's a
even
strategy in half.
yeah, because even though like I don't do Ocarina of Time anymore, right?
Mhm.
I still speedrun. Like that's still
That's
my
true.
main form of content. So it was an easier switch to go from like one super hype game to a different game, because it's
That
still
makes a lot of
the
sense.
same category of what I'm doing. Just not Ocarina of Time. Goodness.
Okay. So now, in theory, you could have also done this by playing, let's say, Majora's Mask,
Correct. Yes.
maybe other Zelda games like you have, because
Picking
you played.
other 3D Zeldas. Correct.
Okay, okay, got it. So Wind Waker's next, then, right?
Yeah. I ain't got that kind of time, man.
Dang. All right. Well, we tried, folks. We almost got him to commit on there.
Man, if only. Like, I don't have a Wii U anymore, and that's the main one they run it off of. Plus,
Fair
I
enough.
don't have that kind of time. Like, I've watched a lot of Wind Waker, and let me tell you, that is a tough speed run. There are super particular tricks to be able to do if you want to quote unquote go fast.
I bet it looks intense, and that's again trying to make it a super long game short, which still happens to be pretty darn long if
Yeah,
you're making
exactly.
content with it. And so, oh, gotta get that itch sometimes. Where you've been partnered now on Twitch for what, 2.5 years?
2.5, yeah, actually.
Yeah, 2.5 years on Twitch that you've been partnered, and like we talked about earlier, we were talking about the roller coaster effect,
Oh
the
yeah.
highs, the lows,
The
you
highs, the
know.
lows, the
So
goodness.
obviously, you reference Ocarina of Time as your high successful game for viewership. What's it like when you are having to start back over because it's not that high of a viewership? Like, how do you keep yourself in a frame of mind that isn't just self-defeating? Because I feel like
Man.
that's what is a huge deterrent for those who had a modicum of success on Twitch or maybe similar like platforms. But I'm going with Twitch because it's stood the test of time.
Yeah.
That why are people so hard on themselves?
Dude, it is tough just because you see what you've done before, and then you compare yourself to that high constantly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you're always like, "Well, I know I'm capable of this, but I'm only getting this."
Ah, yes, I've done that. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, like we've all done it. Like we've all been there. We've been like even day to day or week to week, we've been like, "Well, like this stream was really good, but like this other one it was not so good." And
That's
then
true. Very true.
you get down on yourself for it. But I think the biggest thing, especially when I first started, was seeing how many people would come back the next day or even like the
Right.
next week or things like that. Your quote unquote your retention rate
Yes.
is super huge, and you should be very very happy for that. And like a lot of people don't know that like an average TV show retention rate, which like if we're looking at ourselves as entertainers for a
Mm-hmm.
TV
Yeah.
show, we should compare ourselves to these sorts of statistics. An average TV show retention rate is point like 0.01%.
And it shows you, and that's one thing I wanted to extrapolate on is that let's talk about our highs, right? So let's say the
Mm-hmm.
most I've ever had for an average for a stream is probably around like 600, 700 for the average, right? And
Yeah.
so with that being said, and now if I go and look at my average, it's like 1/10 of that, about 80 or so viewers as an average. Again, right? That means there's certain times where
Yeah.
it's lower than that when the stream's starting out. There's certain times when it's higher than that for whatever reason. If that's a host or raid, maybe you're getting to a really intense segment, and now everyone's like, "This is the part I've wanted to watch all night." It's like, darn, you could have come with the journey, but no, whatever. They're here now. You love it. All right. So there goes the average. With that, let's compare it again, like you're talking about, to entertainers. Think about what they go through too.
Man,
You had a unbelievably successful movie, right? You are an Oscar award winning actor now. What you're gonna win an Oscar every year now?
yeah, every year. Is that your goal? No.
I mean, do you know how unrealistic expectation that is, even for someone who's like Leonardo DiCaprio, who's top tier in his ability to, be in the limelight, to also,
Put
perform
on
at such a
stellar
high
performance
degree.
after stellar performance. That's still not even win one. So,
I mean, think about that. So these people have hundreds of thousands of people who just disappear
yeah, on the
for whatever
reg.
reason. No, it's normal, right? You have this thing that's successful. 10 million people watched it. All right, you have something else that someone watched. Only 80,000 people watched it. Dang, you feel like shit.
Yeah,
8,000 isn't 10 million, but it's still 80,000.
still
And then
80,000.
we would go and say, well, but I would be happy with 80,000. But that's right. How
Yeah,
often when we have a tough night, let's say, well, I'd be happy to have, and so all these different perspectives that come into play when it's like, oh my gosh, why am I doing this to myself? Because all these other individuals have the same thing, but they didn't
yeah.
quit, right? Why are they still out there? Why can I still reference someone like Leonardo DiCaprio? Because he didn't quit,
You
even
didn't
though he's
quit.
had ups and downs and wraparounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah. A wise man once said to me that this only doesn't work if you quit. Mm,
Damn. Now
yeah.
that hits hard.
Right? Super smart guy. I think his name was like General Andrews or something like that
Fuck
that
that
told me that.
guy.
I
That bitch.
such a
You
bit.
heard it here, folks. General Andrews talking about General Andrews. Bitch. But I mean, again, right? Like if you don't quit, you have the opportunity to keep going.
Yeah.
This isn't like an athlete,
Yeah.
right? Athletes get pigeonholed into, athletic, capable years,
Yes.
roughly that 18 to 40 bracket, and that with a couple of extremisms
There are
past the
exceptions.
40,
If you're a kicker, you can go till you're
like 50 or
forever.
so.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're still going to try to find a way to get, like, no, this guy, because now you're so experienced in this field that you're owed your bare minimum is like, ridiculous for the amount of money. It's like, oh my gosh, like we can
Yeah.
go get a guy that's 1/50th of that cost. Different ball game, different type of field. It's not our field, but now it's similar in the idea of the extreme highs and lows and the volatility that you deal with, where you're hot one week and then you're not.
Yeah.
And so I keep on trying to pay attention to those types of factors of when it comes to manifesting my destiny. Like, why am I trying to create my own route? Because it makes me happy.
Yeah.
Right? Like I could be working for somebody else and getting all my credit stolen over and over and over again. Maybe by my coworkers, maybe by my boss, maybe by the owner themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and fuck that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, even if I'm in this position right now, I know I'm the one doing it.
Yeah.
I told myself to get up at
We
this
are
hour to
very
go put this
prideful
on.
people.
You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
learned it from a TV show called DBZ,
Yeah. Prince of the Sands.
There's nothing wrong with having a little bit of pride. And again,
There
it's
isn't.
a pride in your belief in yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's a big difference than being so prideful that you are now negatively affecting others.
You're blind to it, basically.
Yeah, right.
And then like that is the greatest part about being, your own business owner, your own boss, and stuff like that is that every single win that you make, it's your win,
Yes,
100%.
100%.
Nobody else can take that win away from you. But then you've also got to accept your failures as well. Is that when you do
That's
fail,
huge.
you've and a failure is only a failure if you don't learn from it. In my
Bam.
eyes,
That's a good point again.
if you learn from your
It's
failure, you can move on from it, and you know what to do going forward.
and that's the other thing, is understanding what about those failures even really matter.
Yeah,
Because if you're an entertainer, constantly, like, people talk about this all the time, going viral, going viral. Dude, bro, once I go viral, it's over. It's game when I go viral. Dude, bro, once I go viral, that's it. The show is going
we
on.
we got it.
Okay, so why would you quit then before you even did enough content that you maybe could have gone viral? Like, so many people are making content for years and we don't know shit about them for years.
Yeah,
And then they make something that's like, there it is. And that was funny. I loved it.
yeah.
Why didn't I know about you before? You're
Why?
amazing. Oh my gosh, here, take my money, take my heart, take my honey. I don't even have one, but it works in this case. Take it all.
Yeah,
Why?
just
Because you're amazing. I love this. And
you're
but I
so
didn't
good
find
at
them.
this.
Where I didn't find them until that viral piece of content. But guess what? They could have quit on their third piece of content because it was shit. They
Yep.
would have called it shit nowadays. Like, no, I get it now, but you had to go through that. Those failures, did they learn? They learned from it. They edited those videos. They didn't just take it as a raw cut, and that was the issue. They're hoping to get it right on one take, or a couple of retakes. No, they decided they learned how to use an editing software. They cut out some of the dead air on it, so it had just the perfect things. Maybe they made perfectly cut streams. But all these different things that are going on, it's learning from your failures to make yourself better. And in the process, the only reason you're going to want to keep doing it is because you enjoy it. Like,
Yeah.
if you're after the money, it's over.
Yeah.
It's literally over.
It is. Yep. You've got to love what you do. The money is secondary. And it'll come later. Like,
Yeah.
it will. Like, so many people in the streaming industry specifically are like, "Oh, I streamed for 2 months and I didn't make anything from it. I'm done." And they don't have that mentality where they, like, growing up in small business and just small business period, like, if you're going into creating your own business, you should know that you're going to be operating at cost most of the time, if not lower than that, and losing money your first 5 years.
Yeah. And you got to be comfortable with that.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to accept that, period, that's going to happen.
Oh, you have a family of 5? Can you take that risk?
Yeah, can you take that risk? Exactly.
I'm a single individual. I can take that risk. I understand what my
Same.
costs are, and there could still be a freaking curveball in there, right?
Yeah.
There still could be. So, therefore, I'm able to continually wrap my head around things. So it's like people have to understand, you don't give up because you have a family, but it's going to be a different game plan. You have to think even longer term, more than likely, just because, like, you need to consider your family. You're going to have to take family vacations. That means downtime, not creating content.
Yeah.
Unless you're actually making content about you and your family, right? Like, if you don't want them in the limelight. There's some people who don't want their family as a part of it all. That way they can, be chilling.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay, so that's your MO. When you spend time with them, that's not a single moment towards content creation or whatever field of the entertainment you do. So what, people just owe you? You should just quit because now it's not happening. No, you have to realize it's going to take you even longer.
Yeah.
And if you cannot handle that, get out.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. If you cannot handle it, and the reason why I say this, as much as I'm such a, go get it, people think for motivation, inspiration, I'm not going to allow someone to believe something they don't believe in.
Yeah. That's huge.
Right? Like, you can tell, like, so there's times where people try to tell me the right answer that they think I need to hear for their dreams.
Yeah.
No, I don't care what your dreams are. I mean, if you tell me something that's really gross and twisted, then obviously I'm gonna take a step back and be like, you need to go get help. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But like, that's not what I'm referencing. I'm talking about like people trying to like tell me like, oh, it's because I want to be a fitness model, and they don't want to be a fitness model. They want some attention and to feel loved, and they assume that they're gonna get it by looking better in a
Hmm.
physical sense.
Yeah.
And that's not it. That's not how you do it. And why do you care what I think in that manner?
Yeah. That's
You
yep.
you could want my appreciation. You could want me to, want to support you in those thought processes. That's okay. But your dreams, you should know what those are. And then if you can't explain it to somebody, take the time and figure out how you can even explain it to yourself.
Yeah.
Because how are you going to make a good business? Like, how can you continue to make all these good business decisions when the going gets tough if you don't even know what you believe in?
Yeah, that's a big mood right there.
You know, like earlier we were very kind of and it's the process. If you notice how this podcast episode has evolved from where it started in the first few minutes to now, it's really how it is. Your perspective changes everything, because if you do not care about your limitations, you won't be limited.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you instantly get success. You don't just shoot up to the moon because you have a new outlook on life. No, but you're not shackled down, and you won't quit because you feel like you're stuck. You can
Yeah.
move around freely. You can, maybe it's you're a speedrunner, right? That's what the niche that you stay within, but you play different games in that speedrunning. Oh,
Hmm.
okay. You want to play a lot of games, but you're noticing by playing a lot of different games, it's not very successful for you. Okay. Oh, but when you play any kind of Mario game, you have success. So you continue to play Mario games on the stream, and any of the other games you want to play, you create different types of content, if that's on YouTube or wherever, to there
Yeah.
still get your name out there, and people go and find, oh shoot, okay, you also play the Mario stuff. Oh, you're really good at this stuff. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
and they go and then they see all this awesome stuff, right?
Yeah. That you have your niche, and then for the extra stuff, you still have an outlet for that as well.
If you need to, like, that's another thing as well for people to understand. Like, you might want to play a game. Doesn't mean you should stream it.
Yeah. Oh my
I play a
goodness.
mobile game.
Yeah.
I play a mobile game. I'm not streaming that game.
Oh my goodness. I found that out last night. And I was like, "What are you
Freaked out.
doing?" And I was like,
I was
"Playing a
like,
mobile
dude,
game."
this is for
Like,
me.
I
This is
need
my
this.
bedtime.
Yeah, you were like, "This is my me time." Like, I get that.
You know,
So many people are like, "Oh, well, if you're gonna play that, you should just stream it." I'm like, no. Like, some games you need to still have that point where you still have to like love video games and stuff like that. You can't make it too much work. Where
Mhm.
like even in your off time, you've got to find a game that's like just for you, just for you to play.
Exactly. Because like if you and I am someone who works around the clock. You know what I mean? Like
Mm,
and then take like randomly, I'll just zone out and take breaks. Because like it's what you're supposed to do. You should not be working all the time.
all the
But
time, yeah,
I have a want to create things, and sometimes it takes longer than I thought it was going to take. So it's like, dang it, I'm behind because I didn't create all the things today that I wanted to get done because it took me longer on
yeah,
one thing. But the games, that might have been what brought you into the streaming element. For me, content creation is more than just games, as much as my primary source of being involved in content creation is through games. But I'm
yeah,
sure you've seen how well, here's an example. We do a podcast.
yeah,
We have expanded outside of games. Do we talk about games? Yeah.
yeah.
We've talked about
A
speedrunning and
lot.
other different things. Like, shoot, we talked about games already tonight. Uh, but we've also talked about anime. We talked about fitness. We talked about business. We've talked about perspectives. We talked about sleep last week.
Yeah, that's right. We did talk about sleep.
That was pretty relaxing. And so that you do not have to stay stuck with in something, but you have to understand how you're applying it. Because guess what, folks? This is season 2. So many people keep asking, which I'm so thankful for, right? People are like, why do you make something confusing like that by calling it season 2 when we're season 1? Because you're going to ask questions.
Yeah. Because there
And like,
was a season 1 as well.
there was, though. It was real. It actually happened.
It actually happened. That's the
2017 is
funniest
a
part
long time ago.
to me when people ask about that. It's just like, well, but this is season 1 because you haven't guys done this before. I'm like, no, we have done this before.
We have, and this exact name too.
Yes,
this was the name of the show. I can't tell you all the for sure names of our topics from those episodes. It's been just long enough.
No, yeah, they have been just a little bit longer. I think I do have the VOD saved though.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
So they are there. I'm pretty sure.
But a completely different format as well.
Completely different format.
That's not what we loved. But this element of it,
man,
right?
I really
this is what was good.
Yeah.
we didn't fail because we found something.
Yeah.
And this is way more successful than it was when it was live.
No, absolutely. 100%.
Way more. You know, I got people, you know, talking about episodes weeks after the fact, you know, or complimenting or saying, I can't wait for the next one. That was not the same thing that was happening when we did it live. People showed up, people asked questions right there, but not taking that episode and extrapolating it at other moments in time. It didn't have a big enough impact, it felt like, or they didn't at least want to vocalize it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, people want to vocalize it now, like, oh my gosh, yes. And that's kind of cool. So thank you everyone out there for that. That shows, again,
Absolutely.
We could have quit. And we put this on the back burner for a while because it's
really long time, like probably over a year. I would say
more.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
before either of us got our partnerships on Twitch, right? So that was back in.
Oh man, you're right. No, yeah, that was okay. It was a long time.
Yeah. And so, and I bring that up, you know, look how great that is, right? Even for you, like, oh, that wasn't that long. It was like a year or so ago. It just shows you when you have the success of something, finally, after being so passionate about something, you can get to a point where you're like, wow, we figured it out. And it feels like, oh, it's not that bad now. Because why? We are having success with the things that we have fun with.
Yeah.
And so it's not that bad. Versus, let's say, well, in late 2017, it's like, show sucked, dude. I know. This show was crap. I don't tell me again. You know? And so we could have been much more, you know, pissy pants about it. But as time went on, it was just that, well, it wasn't the right time, wasn't the right format, it wasn't how we wanted it done. And then it finally came together. And that's why I get out there about manifesting our destiny, you know, and again, taking not the literal terminology of it,
yes,
but what it's transformed into. Because
how manifest destiny applies to the individual, I think, is a lot better.
You know, it's literally just getting that ideal, because a lot of people should be, you know, familiar with it, that the idea is you can control your destiny through content creation. You can't control all of these sponsors that want to work with you. You can control the ones you decide to work with, for example, right? The difference is that you can control the content you create unless you want to start selling away those ideals.
Yeah.
Right? Because you might decide to do that. But as long as you don't quit, you're going to be doing,
you're going to work well.
What you want to do. You're going to be doing it. Again, nothing is ever exactly how you want. How many jobs have we read like, this is amazing? First day, amazing. 2 weeks later, oh shit.
It's the senioritis syndrome, right?
Yeah.
The last couple of weeks of high school, your senior year, like, I'm really gonna miss this.
Oh, I know.
And then years later, you realize, no, I'm not gonna miss that shit at all.
Exactly. Those rose tinted glasses.
Yep.
And so, you know, as we wrap this amazing episode up, it's just to get across the idea that if you don't give up, you will find success. And if you are making sure when you are going out there and you're asking people for advice, is that you are you're getting real answers. Some of your
Yeah,
friends are not going to tell you real answers.
they aren't.
Okay. So if you need to, then you might need to talk to somebody who has a profession in these types of things. And then, yeah, it might cost you money for their time, but you'll get a real answer.
Yeah. You
And there's
need
nothing wrong with that.
people to take the kid gloves off.
Yeah. I mean, your mom's going to tell you you're the best thing, honey.
Yeah,
You're the best thing.
exactly.
I
That's what
believe
my
in you,
mom
honey.
tells me all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, you do so well, and I'm like, I don't need that right now, though. I
Which
appreciate
is
it,
funny, right?
but I don't
It's
need
just funny.
that.
It's like she's right, but at the same time, like, no, ma,
Yeah,
no. And we all go through it. So any of you out there that are experiencing that, just know giving up is not the answer. There is something else which might be different than what you're doing currently. But that doesn't mean you finding something new does not mean the other thing was terrible in
yeah,
that mind. It's that your
absolutely,
approach was probably not what was going to be successful for what the market wanted to give you.
exactly. Yep.
So, folks, thank you so much for listening. Dreamers, love you.
Family, love you as well. We'll see you all next time. Bye
Bye bye.
bye.